Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah, we have now completed the ghusl. We will now go to the next part of the final rites for the Mayyit, and that is the Hunoot. This is a wajib act. Hunoot means rubbing of camphor onto the 7 parts of the body that touch the ground during sajda. So camphor, powdered camphor is taken, and then it is gently rubbed onto the forehead. Some more camphor is taken, powdered camphor, and gently rubbed onto the palms, on the right one, onto the next palm over here, and then some more camphor is taken, rubbed onto the knees, likewise onto the other knee, and then also on the toe. It is recommended to apply a little bit of camphor onto the tip of the nose. So that completes the action of giving Hunoot, which is a wajib deed to the Mayyit. Having completed the action of giving Hunoot is when we will now roll over the kafan or dress up the body using like the kafan which had been laid down earlier. We will demonstrate the laying down of the kafan, which is the wajib part of the dead body, final rites for Ahkam Mayyit. On the table, we will first lay down 3 strips of cloth which will be utilized as tie strings. This we place at intervals, one at the part of the leg, another at the middle part of the body, around the waist, and the final one at the part of the head. The kafan consists of 3 parts which are obligatory, and the first part is the chadar, which is a long body sheet to be able to cover from the top of the head to the legs as such. So we will now lay down the first part of the kafan, which is the chadar, and this part is a wajib, the obligatory part for the kafan. And it is laid down evenly so that we can have the chadar laid down in such a way that it is half to be able to cover the whole body completely when covered over. It is also mustahab, in addition to one wajib chadar, to lay down a second chadar on top of the first chadar. This is now done with the second part of the chadar, which was the mustahab part of the kafan. Thereafter, we will now lay down the shirt, or what is the pehran, and this is the wajib part of the kafan. This part of the kafan, as you can see, has a slit over there which will serve as the collar, and then we now lay it down onto the table. So if you could change this. It is placed on the kafan table with the shoulder side coming down, and then we would measure close to 1 span. This is the area where the head would approximately, this is the area where the head will be laid onto the kafan table. And thereafter, we will now roll this over. The top part of the pehran, the top part of the shirt is rolled over. Having laid out the top part of the shirt in this way, we will utilize another piece of cloth which looks like this to be, this is a mustahab part which is utilized as a kamarband or the veil placed around the waist of the body. The final and the third part of the wajib part of the kafan is the loin cloth, or what we would say as the lungi. So the lungi is laid down. So the 3 parts of wajib part of the kafan, that is the chadar, the broad sheet, then the shirt, and the lungi, that is the loin cloth, have now been laid out. And now we have another mustahab part, which is the bloomers, which is tied around the dead body like a nappy. So this is a mustahab part of the kafan, which is placed this way, and then to be tied around the dead body like a nappy. To be able to assist us in tying this around the dead body like a nappy, we would usually make a small hole over here and tie the small piece of cloth around over here, this round over here. That's done. And likewise, similarly, it is done for the other side. Do you need to show this one? That's right. Thank you. So that's the kafan laid out. Having placed the mayyat on the kafan, we will now dress up the round patch, or what we would say as bloomers, upon the dead body, which is done in this way. So if you could lift this leg slightly on the bus, okay, and together with this one, we lift it up slightly, then we bring it up. We tie the two tie strings over here. This works like a nappy, and then this extra part, we would rip this off of the half, and this is wrapped down like what you would say as the bloomers or the trousers for the dead body. Thereafter, we will now dress up using the lungi first, which is the loin cloth. This is the wajib part of the kafan, the loin cloth. Having placed this lungi, we have the kamarband, which is the belt, which is a mustahab part of the kafan, and it is tied around the waist with a gentle knot, not very tight. That's it. So now we have the lungi or the loincloth dressed up upon the mayyit. We will now unroll the pehran, that is the shirt. There is a slit for the collar over there. In case if it does not fit, we can always tear the slit slightly larger and then unroll the shirt gently, carefully. Having dressed up the mayyit with the final part of the wajib kafan, and that is the shirt or the pehran, we are now left with one part which is the amama or the turban, which is a mustahab part of the kafan. So if you could kindly help me, we are going to fold this up to be able to form a smaller piece into half and then into quarter, so that it becomes like the shape of a rollover for utilizing for the amama. In fact, yes, we need to do this. Pull. Pull. Done. Okay. I'll just hold on, and then we will roll it over so it becomes easier and convenient for being able to tie this turban or the amama around the head of the marhum. So if you can please come with this and give me help. It is mustahab when placing the amama to slightly leave part of the amama below the ears as such. So we will now dress up. If you could lift the head for me. Yeah. Bring it down. And the two ends of the amama or the turban are left below the chin as the taht al-hanak, below the neck. This now brings us to the end of dressing up of the dead body, where we have been able to give the three pieces of cloth which are wajib for the kafan, which includes the long piece of cloth which is the body cover, the piece of cloth which is the lungi or the loin cloth, and the other piece of cloth which is like the shirt, the pehran. And then we had the mustahab parts, which was a tie belt, the kamarband, one long extra chadar, and a piece of cloth which is going to be used as an amama or a turban for the dead body. In the case of the ladies, they have two additional mustahab parts, which is another piece of cloth which is tied around the chest as such, before we lay down the pehran as such. So this is to cover the chest, and instead of having an amama for the ladies, this very same cloth is going to be donned down, just like the ladies will put down the scarf or the hijab for them. So this amama would now be brought about in a different triangular shape and put down like a scarf for the ladies as such. So this now completes the demonstration of giving a kafan to the dead body, where we have included both the wajib parts, the obligatory parts, and the mustahab parts. And then finally, once we have dressed up the dead body, we will now roll over the two chadars and tie down the two ends with the pieces of cloth which we had left down earlier. And then we had the tied clothes at below the kafan tied down, which we can then tie it up. So there's one which comes here. Here. That's okay. Done. And the middle one. This is tied at the hand, and then at the middle at the waist, and likewise at the feet. It is also tied at the hand and down over here. At all times remembering that we handle the mayyit very gently. This finally brings us to the conclusion of giving the kafan to the dead body.